All right, we're here. Episode 10, Pipe Dreams Podcast. We're on the road again. We're here at Pittsburgh International Raceway for the MotoAmerica round. We flew in Jimmy on the Big Bird just for a special event.
Well, I came in for the road trip, really. I flew into New York, and then it was like a 14-hour drive
13 hours.
with a KOA stop, and we had s'mores and a fire built and whatnot. But yeah, here we are. We got the Defy Lodge set up here. We're gonna try to do some stuff, and yeah, we're gonna do a podcast here, and we got a pretty cool guest. This guy's been around the world. He's rode a lot of production motorcycles, and he's landed on his feet back in America. So
even some MotoGP, they're not MotoGP now, but what it was back then, which would have been, I don't know, what do they call it, 125?
Yeah, 125 wild cards.
Yeah.
And yeah, recently just got his first MotoAmerica Superbike win. We got PJ Jacobson, dude. Thanks for jumping on the pod with us.
Welcome, PJ.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate being on the podcast. You know, I've been asking Corey for a little while now when I'm going to be able to come on the podcast. So it's good to be able to do it with you guys.
So we can just get into it. I mean, you just came off a pretty epic win. I think everybody's known you've been building towards this. You've been really, really close, even towards the end of last year to this year. Kind of talk about how Brainerd just set up. And I mean, race 1, you were right there and just maybe couldn't get it done. And then race 2, you sealed the deal. So how's that transition been to kind of come back and get your first win? And what was the emotion like?
I think it's just been like a huge road to it all, you know, because I had that injury with the whole Ducati thing in 2020. And then I just think from building there and then being able to get a ride again and stuff was like a big thing for me. And then I was lucky to get a ride with the whole BMW program and stuff. And I think just building from that whole thing and then leading to my first Superbike win was just like a huge thing for me, because I really thought I was kind of done racing in 2020, and then I started coaching another kid and stuff, so it kind of was like going downhill for me at that point. So I think I was at my lowest point probably in 2020, so I didn't really even know if I was going to be able to be where I was probably a couple weekends ago, winning my first MotoAmerica Superbike race, to be honest.
And you said 2020 or 20... what was up with the Ducati? I remember it lit on fire, and I don't know what exactly happened, and then why was it so severe? Because I know you had plenty of burns and whatnot. Can you say what happened? Just like a gas tank or something?
In 2020, I think I had a pretty good season going. After the whole, I got second in the championship with the R6 and stuff like that in MotoAmerica, and then 2020 we decided to go with the whole Stock 1000 V4 Ducati program. And then everything was going good everything that happened with COVID and stuff, we got pushed back to whatever it was, like mid-July or something, and then we started to race at Road America, and then there was back-to-back. But yeah, unfortunately, something happened, and the whole bike caught on fire at that point. I don't know if it was the gas cap or what happened, but there was gas all over the bike, and then I had really bad burns that took me out for the rest of the season, so it was pretty terrible. And then that kind of just caused a downhill turn in my life from that point, and I was kind of miserable as well at the same time that I was trying to get all my stuff back together.
Well, how bad were those burns? 'Cause I don't think a lot of people realize how bad it actually was.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. I have pretty bad scars on them. You can see.
Oh wow.
And stuff like that. But yeah.
What is third degree? I don't know. They have different degrees and that kind of stuff. What was the...
It was almost third degree. I almost had to get a skin graft, but I didn't end up getting a skin graft. So I have them on my legs and my arms and stuff. I was just kind of upset too, because it burnt my tattoos off my arms.
Cost a lot of money, those bad boys.
Yeah, so I got to figure that out again,
So what does how long were you out with just how long does it heal, burns?
Well, the problem was, I kept doing what the doctor said and stuff, because I went and seen a burn specialist, and I kept doing what he was saying, but every time it was healing, it was bleeding more and more and more, so it's you think it's healing, but then it starts bleeding again, and then you have to wash it and all that stuff. So the layers and layers of skin just take forever to come back to look like that,
How long do you think until you felt like it doesn't bother you anymore? I mean, like what I mean by is just like how long until the skin kind of, you said it takes forever. Like we talking 6 months, 7 months, a year?
Yeah, how long you were off the bike for a long time?
Yeah, like I was even trying to ride at Road Atlanta, but it like wasn't even possible. I just felt like terrible, you know. And then a big thing for me, like people that didn't know really as well that you know, obviously I'm saying on the podcast, but I was like actually mentally kind of messed up, you know, because like every time I was going down the straightaway, I was just thinking of myself on fire again, you know, because like Road America was so fast and stuff like that. It actually really mentally like put me in a bad state of like being in that fire
Yeah,
state
you're just
of
anxious
mind
it's
of-
gonna happen again.
yeah, of getting burned so bad, you know. So I was like actually a little bit scared, to be honest.
What did you do to get through that? Did you see anybody, or you just kind of just some time like experience
Yeah.
riding again, just getting going? Took a little bit.
Yeah, it took a little bit, I think, you know, and then obviously it was too long. Obviously, when I had the whole coaching thing with that kid Sam, I did the following year. I was kind of forced back into riding a motorcycle again. So, you know, that kind of pushed me back into riding and just being comfortable again and like trusting things. You know, I remember though because we had two M4 bikes and I was going out with him and Jennings and I would literally look down on the at the gas cap
Just make sure it's
and
good.
make sure nothing's like off or anything's going on, and if I smelt anything burning right away, that thing was like off the track or it was back in the pits, you know.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. So you do quite a bit. I know you do a lot of stuff with the kids on the ovales and things like that. What do you do? What's the deal with the coaching stuff with you?
Yeah, I started doing that back up in New York after the whole program with Sam and stuff. And
Sam Lockoff. Right?
Sam Lockoff.
And you were just training him when he was on the 600 with M4.
Yeah, I was training him for a year in 2020 or 2021. And then after that, I kind of like, I guess, established this like little coaching program and stuff. So I started to continue that after the season ended. And then I started getting into the ovales and other stuff with like little kids and helping them and trying to train them and stuff. And that kind of made that all happen with the ovale stuff. And then I got my own ovale and I trained on that all the time. And I started doing it with kids in Florida and back in New York and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Ovale, I know you ride a bunch of Supermoto as well. Do you think the Ovale is like a great training tool for kids growing up, especially in America? I mean, you've got so much experience being in Europe, and I know a lot of kids want to go to Europe, even though our championship here is getting strong. Like, do you think the Ovale is a good training tool, or is it the best training tool, or what do you, for kids wanting to get the experience? Like, is it really that good? Because they're like little mini GP bikes almost.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like a small bike, like compared to our bikes that we road race, you know. But I think it's really good. I just don't think that we're doing things correctly or right to bring kids into the Ovale stuff. Like, for example, right, a kid that is not that great at motocross. Okay, he's scared to hit jumps, all that stuff. He's a great kid to bring to the Ovale stuff and get into, But it's like, how are you getting the kid and his parents to come over and do that stuff? To put more of those riders on the grid to do that stuff, because I think it is great, but the problem is after the 190 class, it kind of runs out in our in the States over here for them to go into something else, and it kind of ends there. So I feel like we don't get that many kids that can continue, or parents don't see it as like a thing of helping their kids go somewhere.
Do you think that Junior Cup is too big of a jump, or do you think it's just different in the way? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that the jump that you say is, I think I'm missing, the jump from Ovale 190 to Junior Cup or to Europe?
I think, like, in Europe is one thing of getting them from the Ovale Cup to go to Europe is, like, a huge thing, and they don't ride with those kids. And also, like, the one kid I trained, Mac, he's over in Spain doing, like, I don't know if it's Ovale stuff, but he's doing a similar bike to that, riding in Spain, getting more experience and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So I think that we just don't have that to give those kids a chance to go over there to be able to ride and do that stuff, But also, I think, the 400 is sometimes too big of a jump for them to go from the 190 to that right away without doing club racing or something.
Yeah.
Talking about kids and stuff like that, you started obviously flat track. You were kind of like basically going to be like the next Nicky Hayden when you were growing up, right? I mean, you had like a lot of results amateur wise. You were kind of known to be like the guy, and then you got into road racing from there. So how long did you actually race flat track?
I raced flat track until I was
obviously you're still racing till like 2 years ago professionally, but at an amateur level before you switched.
I started racing flat track till I was like 12 years old at an amateur level. I think when I was 12, I started to do like less amateur, like the Grand National Championships and stuff like that, because I was so focused on road racing at the point when I turned 11. So my dad kind of wanted me to go road racing because for him as a flat tracker, he used to do flat track, and I think that he just didn't see it as a future for me. And,
like career-wise.
Yeah, career-wise, and didn't, to be honest, to see where flat track was even going for a career, like at that time, road racing was where you wanted to be, and it was a career, and everyone saw Nicky Hayden and all these other people go into road racing, so he wanted to get me into road racing and get me out of flat track and be, where all the other guys were going. Like, he helped so many people that people actually don't even know. I give my dad credit. Like, Jared Mees, for instance, like my dad helped him so much as a kid and where he is now, So it's like he just saw a different path for me and started to get me into road racing at the time.
So you started on what? On 125s? That's when you switched over with like Barry from Celtic?
Yeah, so I started, at that track that's by me, Oakland Valley. I started on a little NSR 50. I started riding that around, and then Barry actually came up to the track when I was younger, and he saw me, and he started speaking to my dad and saying, hey, like, your kid should try road racing. And Barry was into 125s and stuff like that with all his Irish buddies. So he's like, hey, you should come to Jennings one time. And then I went to Jennings, I think it was, and I did like a test for him. And then it all started kind of kicking off from there.
Barry, for people that don't know, Barry owned Celtic Racing, which James and I actually both raced for after PJ kind of paved the way for that. Actually, it was really.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like Chaz Davies was probably was he the first one? Kind of coming over. I don't know who was the first, but I remember Chaz as Celtic, and then I remember you, like at Mid Ohio, being in kind of the group with them, and then.
Yeah, so like he brought off this Irish guy that was coming up in Ireland. Alistair Seeley was his first rider.
Yeah.
He went in there with a couple races with Alistair, and then after that, that's when Chaz got brought in, and then that kind of really set the thing for Celtic. You know what I mean? Because he was battling up at the front. I think they got podiums.
Yeah, I remember Mid Ohio. Yeah, dude, he was ripping there.
Yeah, so that kind of like set off the whole Celtic thing, and then from there, I was just a kid. Went back to Europe, I think, at that point, and he just continued the whole Celtic thing in the States moving forward.
You're saying that, okay, yeah, because I remember you being with Celtic and the 125 stuff in America before you went to Europe, because I remember you were doing quite a bit of 125 work, if I remember it correctly, right?
Yeah, I was riding the 125 in that series. They had USGPRU, and then they combined us with AMA, some rounds or something.
Yeah, there was a couple. But did you do USGPRU? Because you went to. Some people don't even know the Red Bull Academy because it doesn't exist anymore. I don't think, right? They have just the Rookies Cup, but you actually were in the Red Bull Academy. Was that before USGPRU or kind of during? I don't remember.
So I won the USGPRU championship, and then from that point is when I went to the Red Bull Academy because they accepted me over there, and Alberto Puig, who runs the Repsol Honda team. He's the one that got me over there with a couple other people, like Richie and Midori and stuff like that. Got me the
Midori, Milwaukee, right?
Milwaukee, yeah. The meeting that was all set up in Valencia when Michael Jordan was there.
Really?
That's yeah.
Funny. That is funny.
And then he invited me to do the Red Bull Academy after Valencia, which was the last two races of the Spanish Championship. So I went over there and did that with them.
What is the Red Bull Academy for people that don't know?
So the Red Bull Academy was first started as a selection of different riders from different countries. I guess their best riders, they thought at the time. And then there was only like 6 of them. So Scott Redding was in it, Nakagami was in it, Jonas Folger, Mark Marquez was never in it. But there was a bunch of other names that were in the academy. Pedroza was in it. Like all those people.
He was like the first, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it kept going through like names like that, and there was very selection like 5 or 6,
Per year.
Yeah, per year.
That was like pre Red Bull Rookies Cup. Like that was before Red Bull Rookies Cup.
Exactly.
And then they were like, oh, this is kind of cool. Let's do Red Bull Rookies.
Yeah, exactly.
Did
Rookies Cup all started from after that.
And they just did they all race under? Was there 6 bikes at a weekend? Like you guys had a team of 6?
Yep.
Okay.
So we'd have like 2 garages, 3 guys there, 3 guys on the other side. And yeah, each person had like 4 mechanics, I think it was.
Holy crap.
That was Spanish CEV.
Yeah,
that
it was
racing
in the Spanish CEV championship. And then we'd also do the other one that was with it, the Catalan championship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did they? Was that all paid for? I mean,
Yeah, it was all paid for, everything. They put you up. It was actually a hard time for me though too. Like when I went over there and did it, I was like 12. I just turned 12.
It's
at the
crazy.
time.
It's so
And
crazy.
I was over there in another country by myself, and
The only English speaking person out of the group, right?
yeah,
Fully
pretty
English.
much. Like they didn't really like. It was like broken English, So it was like really hard. And at the time, you're 12 years old. You want to be with your friends at school. You got like a little girlfriend going on or something like that. And you're missing her. Yeah, back at home and stuff like that. So
12 years old,
I
dog?
know,
Come
dude.
on.
yeah, like I don't know, 6th grade or something. 7th grade.
Yeah.
So at that point, I had to get homeschooled because I was, the
you're
teachers were
away.
getting so mad that I was missing so much school. So
That
I
was
had to get
part of the
homeschooled.
academy too, right? They had you had classes. Like you lived over there. It wasn't like you just flew over a race and came home. You actually lived like
Yeah,
in
so
essentially
I
like a
lived.
racing dorm, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I lived over there, and you were set up in this like I don't even know what it's called, like this like world championship like dorm thing that has tennis players, football player or soccer players.
Wow.
Like every type of sport was in this like academy thing, that dorm thing that we were in. So you go to lunch at like a cafeteria, and you're eating with all these people that play like tennis and.
Were they all Red Bull athletes?
No, they weren't Red Bull athletes.
Okay, so
it was just us, but we were put into this like big
Yeah.
sports facility, like dorm place.
So how many races did you do, or what did you do entire year, or just the end of that year?
I just did the last 2, and then I just did most of the other year.
Okay.
Didn't finish the season.
Were they on? Because the KTM's weren't there at the time, right?
Yeah, we were on Hondas.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
was
Yeah.
under Red Bull. And then from there, what happened? Why didn't that kind of go? Because naturally you would think like you did pretty okay, right? For considering you hadn't really much time and you were in a new environment.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they take you to the next step?
Yeah, so I had like a really hard time there, and I feel like I was just mentally a mess, as a kid that age and stuff. Takanakami was my roommate, so he didn't
So cool.
speak any English really.
He didn't.
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it was just like not a good life that I wanted to live, And yeah, I was just a mess from that point, and I started just doing really bad with my results, to be honest with you, because I just didn't want to be there anymore, and I just missed home and just wanted to go home. So it was that point too that I'll remember Alberto, like usually like I'm fast in the rain, and I couldn't even qualify in the one race. Like I think it was like second to last race or something. I couldn't even qualify to make the grid
Wow.
because I was just like completely
You were checked
mentally
out.
just yeah. And he said, "Hey PJ, basically we have to like let you go. You're not fast enough." And he literally told me that in the back of a box van when it's pouring rain out, And I was 12 years old, and I was just like, really upset at the time.
I can imagine.
So at that point, they were like, "Hey, we can put you in Rookies Cup next year because the Rookies Cup is coming, And I said, I went and tested and made it in Rookies Cup, but I didn't do the Rookies Cup.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your decision, like,
Yeah, it was my decision. I decided to not go to Rookies Cup, and I came back to the States and wanted to focus on AMA stuff.
How much of that was like your decision personally, or like obviously Barry and your dad were involved at that point, or just your dad?
Yeah, it was probably, Barry and my dad and stuff like that, but, obviously they asked me as well, and as a young kid, I feel like I wasn't too comfortable with the situation that was going on there, and I just didn't want to do anything in Europe.
at
For
the
sure.
so at the time, how long have you known Barry?
So I knew Barry for like 2 years. So I was like 10 or something.
Yeah, because he's pretty much, for people don't know, he's got connections pretty much everywhere.
Yeah,
Barry's pretty
exactly.
well known around. And was he over there with you at all?
Yeah, he was at like a few rounds and stuff like that, and then my dad would go to some rounds, and then also too he wasn't at any rounds. So it was,
And for people that don't know, like obviously you went back to Europe eventually, but like, how hard is it to live in Europe? Even though I mean you were in, I'm assuming Spain.
yeah.
So
Spain,
even
yeah,
just
in
living
Barcelona.
when you went to Ireland and England, I mean it's still a big culture shock.
Yeah, it's completely different. It's like completely different than the way we live in the States.
And even if like when I lived in England and it was English and everything, it was not. I mean, I could communicate with people. I got the same point where I was really lonely, and it's really tough until you make some friends. But I mean, was it pretty hard for you just even going back, or did you have that experience when you went back to England? I know we're kind of jumping forward a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like a lot happened in my life. Yeah, no, yeah, after that, like, when I went back there, I was in a good state of mind and stuff like that because I came back home and I started winning races again and stuff like that, being around friends and everything. And then, I got a ride actually back in the CEV with Aspar a year later. And I went back there and I got fifth in the CEV championship from not even being able to qualify 2 years before that, like with 50 people on the grid. And ended up getting fifth in the championship. So when I went back there, I like lived differently, and I was always flying back and forth instead, and not staying there like as long. And yeah, it kind of like it changed me. But also, doing that whole thing when I was like 12 years old, like really made me mature as a person, like real fast.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you think now, like looking back at it, do you wish you had a different approach when you were younger? Like, do you wish you had the ability to stick through it and kind of see where that would have taken you?
Yeah, I wish my results were a lot better, and I wish my mental state of mind was a lot better at that age.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what I was doing at 12. I was like,
Yeah, it's hard to like.
Well, the thing is I mean, I think the biggest thing is being alone.
Yeah,
And I mean,
terrible.
12 years old. Like, what did you have for a cell phone? Did
you
you?
didn't have cell phones back then?
I don't know.
Yeah, I had like a little stupid prepaid phone.
Exactly. So like,
Yeah.
like
It's
you,
not like you're
the cute-
FaceTiming your
you're not
family every night.
FaceTime.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's
And
crazy
then-
to think about that.
And the
Yeah.
thing is I mean, like, especially Spanish, like culture is just a lot different.
Yeah.
It's a lot different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wow. And so you came back here. You raced 125s still. Is that when you came back?
I started racing 125s and 250s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you went to CIV or CEV,
Yep, CVA. I went back to the Aspar team. I
One-
got fifth in the championship.
125s.
125. Yeah.
Okay.
My last podium of the year was with Jonas Folger and Zarco on the podium, and Vinales was fourth.
That's
Maverick
insane.
Vinales. So there's a lot of people in that race.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
nuts.
Yeah.
And
And same thing, but that didn't really go anywhere for you, right? Because you'd think even then, like, that would have been, okay, I'm going to GP. Like, I'm with those guys
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
racing against.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way.
No, it didn't, because it was like a huge slap in the face actually for me. Because I went back there, did that, had a great like last round of the championship, and they offered me the same ride next year in the CEV, and not a GP ride. So I was like, I'm over this. I'm done. Like, I thought I did a good enough job to at least
Yeah,
secure, as an American, a 125 GP ride somewhere on one of those teams. And
Who was your teammate when you were on that?
my teammate was Isaac Vinales,
wow.
so Maverick's cousin. And then I forgot the other kid.
But neither of them, it wasn't like they called somebody else on the team to go to GP instead, because that team was in GP. Obviously, Aspar was in GP at the time, right?
Yeah, so my strongest teammate, who I beat in the championship, he ended up getting like a lot of wild cards the next year, but he did CEV again, and then I think the year after that he did like a full year in GP. But
So you opted out when you came back again.
yeah,
after
opted
that.
out and came back again. Yep.
So the same thing. Do you think you wish now that you would have stayed and just stuck it out for another year in CEV? Do you think it would have eventually, had you got the same results, put you in GP?
Yeah, I think if I stuck it out and did that, I probably would have been in GP. Yeah.
Yeah, we always talk about that. It's just like you don't have any perspective on things until you get a lot longer on, right?
Yeah.
Like where you're at now, and kind of looking back at it, it's like, well, where would I have ended up at this point if I had
Yeah.
just done one thing differently like 10
Yeah.
years ago? It's crazy.
So how old were you then? After the fifth place?
I was 14.
So I mean, it's so crazy that it's like you've, I mean, been racing forever. At you're 14 years old and you just got fifth in
Yeah.
CEV, you know, to opt out to not go again is like it's so you're so young. Do you know what I mean? To like it's crazy.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's just like it's.
Well, knowing the magnitude, I think of those decisions now, like at 14, if somebody was like, "Hey," right now, if somebody came up to you and was like, "Hey, here's a ride. If you take it, and maybe the following year you get a GP ride," you'd be like, "Done, I'm there."
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But like
That's a
at
loaded
14,
question, though. You can't say that. We
But
could all hindsight.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like at 14, to make that decision is like
It's
you don't know,
crazy.
you don't see it that way. You
Yeah.
don't see it the same way. You know,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. I think as you get older, you kind of like perspective. That's all it is, right? It's just
Yeah,
perspective.
exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But even at the time too, that something else that convinced my decision was Honda were already speaking to me, and Graves offered me a ride as well. So I was kind of like
Yeah.
coming
Had
back to the
options back.
States, had options, and I went with.
What year was that?
The Honda deal, in 2000. I don't even know what year that was.
That would have been 2010
No, it was 2000.
or 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2009.
So you went with Honda for.
So Honda gave me like a parts program and a budget and stuff to do some club racing.
Because you weren't old enough in the
Oh,
US.
yeah, I wasn't old enough yet.
okay, yeah.
Yep, and then yeah, because I was 15 at the time, and then when I turned 16, I did like the last two of AMA Supersport, like at Jersey.
Yeah, I remember that. You were like, did you get pole or something?
Yeah, I got pole. Yeah,
You got pole.
Yeah, and
Nuts.
then I jumped to start.
I remember that.
Yeah, what a joke.
I feel like that's been a little bit of a like theme throughout your career. Like you have like these crazy things go on where you're in like a position where it's like, okay, this is finally PJ's shot to like
Yeah,
seal the deal.
yeah,
And then something happens or
Yeah.
like you have something that works against you or whatever the case is.
yeah.
Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think so. But you know, I think it's also this motorcycle sport that we're in. You know, I feel like some people have, I don't know, some people have luck. It just depends. Like it depends the situation. You know.
Yeah.
Some people get lucky and some people don't. But I don't know. It's just a motorcycle
way it works.
sport. Yeah, it's like, I guess I don't know. It's a rough sport. You know.
Yeah. So from there, obviously, you went back to Europe another point, and you were in World Supersport.
Yeah, but didn't you do a wild card at Indy with Bancara? Is it Bancara? Or
It's
is
Aspar.
Is that
team.
oh
Yeah,
that-
in 2009.
oh so it was okay.
Yeah. I
That
did
was the
one.
year that you were in CEV.
CEV. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you did do the wild card.
Yep.
Okay. I thought there was like a rumor going around like Hopkins like paid something or was that anything?
No, it was like a thing with Hopkins and I don't know, he was like mentoring me.
Oh, okay.
You were with Monster back then and the whole deal, right?
Yeah.
So it all came together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What you were like one of the few people too that we were talking to Heron in the last podcast. You were with Red Bull obviously when you were in the academy, and then
Yeah.
you actually went to Monster,
Yep.
which is like a pretty crazy. Be able to have the opportunity to work with both those energy drink companies, but usually Red Bull's pretty strict. Like once you're with them,
Yeah.
to go to somebody else, your contracts were pretty hard. Did you have like a contract with Red Bull at that time when you were at the academy to then have to like leave that to go to Monster?
I did have like a Red Bull Academy contract that had said that you have to have all your Red Bull stuff and everything, your hats and all that stuff like that. And I feel like that's probably a reason why I'm maybe on their blacklist or something now, because I said
Really?
no to the Rookies Cup, the following
Yeah.
year. So I feel like
Yeah, that was something Heron said actually. It was like once you leave Red Bull,
yeah,
that's
like,
it.
it's-
You're
yeah.
done.
there's like no chance of going back.
Once you're out of the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
once you're out of the
I
Red
mean,
Bull
it's
mob.
kind of like Monster. When you leave Monster, you just kind of don't get back either.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So yeah, where I was going with that was you ended up going back to Europe again. So like there's kind of a recurring theme of like coming back to Europe after
Yeah.
a year or two in the US. Was that just because you always had bigger aspirations to race at a world level?
Yeah, I mean, it's like everybody, they want to race in the World Championship at some point, or at least make it there, Say, hey, I made it to the World Championship, like, cool.
Was that your dream?
Like, one of my dreams. Yeah, like, one of my dreams was to be, in MotoGP or in the World Championship somewhere, and I feel like I achieved that goal, So that's why I always kept going back and trying to get further than just being in America,
Do you think, because it seems like you'd come home, but then you'd go back, do you think coming home and kind of realizing it wasn't, because you had options to stay over every time, right?
Yeah.
And then you chose the option to come back to the US. Was
Yeah.
there something that once you actually got here, you were like, this isn't as great as I thought it would be? Or you just still had that like desire to go back to Europe? Like why did it kind of go like that, where it was always like a year in the US and then back to Europe, a year in the US, back to Europe?
I guess just because I was chasing like different opportunity, and then when I was like 16 and I did my first year in AMA, like with Barry with Celtic and stuff, that's when everything started going downhill at that point. It wasn't like the Aaron Yates days and Jake Zemke days for us. So it started going down, And my thing is like, what opportunities are coming about here? Because this thing is just going down, And it looks like BSB and other things can lead to World Supersport, World Superbike, other opportunities like that. And looks like there's more money over there while the States is going down, for us racers. So that's another opportunity I ended up taking at the age of, what age was I? 17, 18 at that point. I went back and did BSB.
Is that the Donington Super Stock ride or no? One was
yeah. So I was.
He did 2 rounds, that and Assen.
Exactly.
Dude, did you ever hear about the Donington?
No.
So he did the Donington round, and then you won it in the grass.
Yeah, past Lee Johnson in the grass.
Oh, I do remember that.
And that was huge. That was so crazy. Yeah. I literally remember that, seeing it on Road Racing World and seeing the photo, the picture of the finish, and then going like, fuck, I want to go there too. That looks cool.
Yeah, it was crazy. The thing wasn't even spinning or anything. I was in the grass passing him.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It was a crazy race, I heard. And then later in the year in Assen, you got on the podium again.
Yeah, then I won the Supersport race in Assen.
And then there you go.
Yeah.
And then Taiko.
And then that was a crazy one too, because there was like 3 or 4 of us going into the chicane in the last corner, and I was the first one that made it out. It was pretty crazy, And you know how those guys are.
Yeah.
It was like Billy McConnell. Who else was it?
Maybe Galland.
I forgot the other guy's name. The older guy used to be super fast.
Oh yeah.
Australian guy.
Yeah.
Christian Eden was there too.
Oh, really?
There was a whole bunch of us in
What's his name? Yeah, it's not. I'm blanking. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because he rode for Smiths.
Yeah, exactly.
Towards the end, yeah.
So it got pretty crazy.
Glenn Richards.
Glenn Richards, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So you got an opportunity out of that. You kind of turned like a little bit of a wild card type of deal into then, okay, let's stay in British Superbike. They gave you a full Superbike ride the next year.
Yeah, pretty much, because at that point, because after I was 16 and stuff, I didn't have a ride the following year.
Honda just dropped it.
Well, no, that was with Barry with Suzuki.
Right.
No, we had the Ducati thing was the following year. Sorry, after the Ducati thing,
Arma.
I didn't have a ride that season, so I was just gonna do my own program on an R6 at that point. I'm sorry we're going back here, but
it's fine.
At that point I was gonna do R6, and I had the Arma Energy Snacks as a sponsor.
Yeah,
and that thing just went.
I love those things.
Dude,
yeah,
those are good.
That thing just went terrible, and there was nothing about. And then I got a phone call. It was from Yamaha or Graves that I was going to be possibly a replacement for the year when Gerloff or someone broke their leg. I forgot.
Yeah, I think it was Gerloff.
I think it was Gerloff.
Or Tommy? Or it was here, wasn't it? Or something in the rain?
I don't know. It was somewhere. It was like the second round or first round or something like that. And I was on high up on the list, thought I was going to do it, but for some reason all the time with Yamaha I never get chosen. But anyways, Tommy Hayden got the ride.
That's
yeah, so they ended up choosing Tommy Hayden over me, so he got the ride for the rest of the season, and he was with Gerloff or Barbier. Someone was his teammate. I forgot who it was, or was it JD?
I honestly don't
I don't know. It was one of them, but he got the ride, and I was just flipping out and bummed, So then I went to BSB. I did those Donington things.
No, it was a 600.
600 program, yeah. No, it was right before Daytona. That's what it was.
Okay.
Someone messed themselves up, and then Daytona is when I got the call, but they chose Tommy Hayden.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah. It was. I think it was Gerloff.
No.
I think it was.
I think Gerloff.
I don't know. We should call him right now.
Gerloff wasn't old enough yet. I think it was Cam. Didn't Cam mess up his knee?
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm sure somebody will just
bring them all in here. We'll talk
I'm sure somebody in the comments will find it in 2 seconds.
Yeah. But then BSB, I went and did that, what we just talked about. And then
who'd you get a call from?
From BSB?
Or was it Barry? Was it Barry's connections? Or
so my mechanic that worked as my crew chief.
Big man.
Big man. He got me. He lives right down the road from the Taiko shop,
Yeah.
So he was talking to Philip Neal, who owns the Taiko Taz racing team. And I got the phone call then, and I got to go out to like Kirkstown, this small track in Ireland, and test out the bike. And then Philip was like, "Yeah, let's put him on that," you know.
It's crazy, man. Like Taiko especially, like they have like I don't know what it is, like a thing they do. They like literally have bikes just like sat there and they just put people on all the time. They do it all the time where they're just like Davey Todd, he's on some Milwaukee BMW right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of crazy the way they do that. So that's pretty cool. So was this your first time in Ireland? When you went there?
Flew to Ireland.
Cold? Or?
No, I was there when I was really young. And then I flew there again, but I didn't remember it from being so young and stuff. Flew in, big man like picked me up, all that stuff. We loaded his little minivan thing with the stock 1000 bike, and I went to did the test, and Philip was like, "Yeah, you can do it." And we got in his van, took everything to the first race we did, which was what was it, Brands Hatch? Or no, it was Oulton Park.
Oh.
And I got like 5th or 6th, I think, or something like that. And then from there, they were like, "Okay, yeah, we'll do the rest of the Superstock season with PJ." And then I did the rest of the season, and I won a bunch of races and got podiums every single time.
Did you win the championship?
No, Keith Farmer passed away. He won the championship that year, but I was already like, it was more than halfway through the season that I entered the stock class. Then after that, like it ended up into a Superbike ride for the following season
With Taiko.
Which was like the top team at the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
one
which was one of the top teams. Yeah.
What was it like going over there? I mean, because you're already in Europe, but like BSB is its weird thing. Like first time seeing Oulton Park, crazy.
Oh yeah, it's like insane.
Like for people that don't know, Oulton Park is probably one of the most savage racetracks I would say in the world.
Yeah.
Like it's really bumpy, the undulation from like I don't know, turn 3 going up over that into the bowl. Like it's pretty crazy in Shell Oil. What was it like your first time going around there?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And the first day I got there, of course, like England, it was just pissing rain. You know? So I'm trying to learn this track, and it's pissing rain, and yeah, it was pretty difficult, you know. But by the end of Sunday, I was like, I ended up getting 5th or 6th in the race, and then from there it started to
click.
What were the fans like? 'Cause I know just from James, like the fans love Americans over there.
Oh yeah,
at least
crazy.
James. I don't know if it was a normal thing for every American, but
yeah,
they have a pretty good audience over there, right?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, especially like when you go to Cadwell Park and stuff like that. It's like insane.
Packed.
Dude,
Yeah.
everybody's on the hill. Looks like a concert.
Yeah,
Like it's crazy.
yeah, it's just insane. But it's pretty cool. You can watch everything. You know, you get to see a lot more because those tracks seem like they're
So
like,
small, right?
Yeah,
Well, they're like this. Like you can on one of the hill. I mean, for people that
They're like this.
But like they're not like.
What does a normal track look like?
Like this.
and they're all drinking beer and stuff too. So it's probably a good time, you know.
Shit faced every night.
Yeah,
Dude, that was
When you went over there, how much different was your mentality from like obviously like the Red Bull days, like in terms of being in Europe?
Oh yeah, I did way different mentality
Yeah.
at that point, you know. And then when I got the Superbike ride, I decided to pick the town that they live next to, Cookstown, and I ended up living there and just decided I'll fly back and forth to England or take the boat. So I ended up doing that, and I met a bunch of friends that I'm still friends with now in town, and I had like a little apartment just right in town, so it was like perfect, you know.
Yeah, you had a life over there, wasn't like
Yeah, exactly. I built a life there, and it was more normal.
Yeah. How important were these guys? Obviously, Barry, super important throughout your whole career. Big Man, like, I haven't even heard from Big Man in years, but how important was having a guy like that in your corner, too?
Yeah, having him by my side, you know, he's one of the reasons why I got the Superbike ride the following season, and he's done so much for me in my career. I mean, I could call him up right now. He'd fly over here, and he'd be my crew chief on the Superbike or anything. You know, if I needed anything, he's like one of the first people I'd call. Barry's right there, too, so it's...
Yeah, Big Man was like the two-stroke magician. I remember back in the day, like getting those things jetted, like when we were on the 125s. Because that people probably don't know, but like my first time ever riding a race bike was PJ's old 125. Like that, I think was the first time you rode a road race bike. Maybe was the same one I rode for my first time at Road Atlanta, USGPRU, and Big Man. Same thing was like he was the guy. So every morning, you know, checking his thermostat or whatever he had to make sure the
Yeah.
humidity was all right and getting the
Yeah.
jet kit out.
Dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I hated 125. Did you like them? Did you really enjoy riding a 125?
I mean, yeah, they were pretty fun and stuff, I guess, you know.
I was so bad on one. I remember. So you almost ended my career. I think it was Mid Ohio. PJ lapped me on a 125.
Dude, I got lapped my first year.
And I said, and I was like, I came in, I was like, I'm done with this fucking bike. Like, this thing, throw it in the bin. I don't care. Like, because I was already on like 250s and 450s in dirt track.
Yeah.
And I just could not like open the gas. I just couldn't open the gas.
Yeah.
And these things, ugh.
Yeah.
I remember PJ lapping me. I'm like, dude, fuck this.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean, that was always like growing up. It was like you were kind of the benchmark, 125s and then 600s, and it was like as soon as I could get like within 3 seconds of PJ, I knew I was going right.
It's wild.
That's
Yeah, it's
crazy to
fun.
think.
But even us too, like I remember we used to go to ride Supermoto.
Yep.
Like, you're always in the class above me and stuff.
Yeah. I think
Because James is old as shit. That's why he's like 40.
Yeah. PJ's coming. He's getting
How old are
closer.
you? You're 29.
I'm 30 now.
Did you just turn 30?
I
Right?
just turned 30, yeah.
See, dirty 30, baby. It comes, doesn't it?
Over the hill.
Yeah, you feel a lot older, that's for sure.
We
downhill.
used to do at that go-kart track. So when I remember, there's one other race we did that. Didn't we race 65s together or something, or 80s at that one dirt track with the big banks? Dude, I was running around the
I don't know.
outside and you were on the inside, and we used to
Yeah.
meet in the straightaway. Yeah, we.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. I forgot what this was.
I remember when we went to Canada and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was fun. For people that don't know,
Yeah.
there was for a couple years you were, I don't know, a year you were part of the Cool Skunk Squad.
Yeah.
Big Phil.
We were talking about this morning about all the different people that his dad has worked with. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
PJ,
crazy.
because Keith was helping us, especially with like the 250s and the 450s kind of coming up, and then PJ, he won amateur nationals. I think he had some Cool Skunk branding
Yeah.
that year, and then he was like, I'm out. Big Phil can't pay me enough.
I brought all the awards to the team.
how many you won? Like,
Hey, your dad even said it in one of the podcasts.
Yep.
I was like, at least Phil,
He knows.
he loves me.
Oh, Big Phil loves you.
you have what? How many amateur Grand National
I don't even
championships?
know. I don't know.
A lot.
He has a lot too.
Who has more?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even.
He
know.
probably stopped. You stopped racing amateur stuff.
Yeah, I stopped when I was like 13 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
no,
I
you
think I
said
did
he would've done
250
way
and
more.
then I
Yeah.
then I was done.
I mean, I've got quite a few, but
That's cool.
no one's counting.
So after BSB, you got a call. You did all right in BSB, right? It wasn't like probably what you expected. Where did you finish the first year of that championship?
I finished 8th or 9th, I think, in the championship.
No.
I had a really like hard start at the beginning of the year.
And it started
then-
coming around at the end. I remember.
Yeah, and then like about halfway through the season, stuff started clicking for me, and then I started getting more angry at my teammate as well. So that kind of like helped.
Who was your
move
teammate?
my positions, Josh Brooks.
Oh,
Right.
Brooksy, dude, he's pretty savage. So I forgot what year. It must have been 2011 or 12. I did a wild card, and you were on the Taiko bike. So it must have been 11 or 12. When were you? When did you superbike?
It was 11 and 12.
Okay, so one of the years I did a wild card for.
No, 12 and 13. Sorry.
So it was 12 then. So I did a wild card for Swan Yamaha. Remember?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it was so funny because I remember him at Brands Hatch coming through, and the thing just like on the front straightaway. If you don't grab the gears correct, the thing just ties itself to nuts.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen PJ coming through. First, I literally go up and I'm looking at it the first time, and he's just like, yeah,
Typical
hand
PJ.
all just all over the place, and I'm like. Okay. Like, I don't know how I want to do this. Like, fuck. But yeah, no, I remember it was a pretty good year. You had some good results.
Yeah, it was good at the end of the year. I just had ended up having a bad time with Josh though. You know, I mean, I saw him a couple years ago. Actually, when I got the call for HRC, we're going ahead here, but HRC at Suzuka, I saw Josh and he kind of came up to me and stuff. But we kind of had a lot of issues at the end of the year. You know, he was like just saying stupid stuff, and he started to be a real pain of a teammate. I'll tell you that, because I guess I was getting closer to him, and honestly, I think I ruined his championship for him, to be honest with you, because he was just so worried about me that he just started to not do what he was supposed to when he was in that, like showdown thing.
Yeah. Well, because I remember one of the years he like it was a drying track, and he started on slicks. I don't know if that was the same year. I don't know, but I was kind of teammates, not really. We got a lot of help from the Milwaukee team when he was riding for Milwaukee Yamaha when I was with TTC, and you could see like he's got like kind of a dry sense of humor, and he's not afraid to kind of like just say whatever. He kind of makes things very awkward.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and like he just kind of like he just like
Pride.
yeah, he's just like
Yeah.
and he just looks for cracks all the time. And I mean, remember the year with Shaky going against it, and he did some stuff that probably shouldn't have. Like sending tweets
for
out
sure.
about
It was
his
like
wife
the
and
year
stuff.
when he was battling Shaky for the
And he did that
championship,
stuff, yeah,
and he
that
just
was
started
bad.
to pay more attention to me with stupid things, like coming in and saying, "Hey, we need to turn all the traction control up and do all this stuff." And BSB wouldn't have that,
Yeah.
And he's just saying that in front of me, so I'm listening, and I'm like a 19-year-old kid at this time,
Yeah.
thinking like, what is he talking about,
Yeah.
And he's messing with me when he should be just focusing on Shaky.
Yeah.
Or even like Aston, I think it was too. I was in front of him the whole race. And then he just made a really stupid move in the chicane, like with 2 laps to go. And he tucked the front. And that was the showdown. It was over for him.
Yeah.
It was like, dude.
You've had obviously like some of the people you're riding off before. You've raced against a bunch of crazy names. Of all your teammates, who has been like the most difficult? Was he one of them?
Yeah, Brooks has definitely been the most difficult.
Really?
One. Yeah, for sure.
And like, did you learn anything from that? Dealing with him?
Yeah, I think I actually learned a lot from him, and I think he's a really good rider. To be honest with you, he has a really good riding style as well. Like when he's in front of you, you just think he's just out on a Sunday cruise, and he's not even going fast. But he's ripping. I think he's a pretty talented rider that he made it to World Supersport and stuff, but I think he could have made it a lot further in his career. I just think maybe some things just didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
Or maybe he should keep quiet. I don't really know what happened. But yeah, he was a good like a hard teammate to have for sure.
It was a lesson learned though, for sure. Where after that you worked your way over back into the World Championship with World Supersport, right? From BSB?
Yeah. So I got offered actually the Taiko ride the following year, and I said no to that, and I went to World Supersport.
You had 2 options. It was either stay in BSB or go to...
Yep, it was stay in BSB, and Brooks was already going somewhere else because he was over it, and
I think he went to Milwaukee.
Yeah, he went to Milwaukee. Yep, and they chose me. I actually think they chose me over Brooks, to be honest, and because we had so much stuff going on. And he went to Milwaukee, and I was like, yeah, this Intermoto thing from Andrew Pitt came in the door like last second, and they were like, hey, do you want to go to World Supersport World Championship? And the team was a decent team that could get top 5. I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to the World Championship.
Pony Express, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to sponsor. Just
when you're looking at those, like, you don't have to say if you don't want to, but like money-wise at that point, were you like in a position where you even worried about financial, or is this all just like based on you wanting to be at a world level?
Yeah, at that point, I just wanted to make sure that I had some change to cover my flights and all that stuff, because I didn't get paid much when I went to my first year into World Supersport, It was kind of like World Championships right here. I'm 20 years old. Do I stay in BSB and I'm 30-something years old and be like Josh Brooks? Or do I try to go and go to World Supersport? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, let's go to World Supersport. I'm not going to stay here in BSB.
Was there a lot of money in BSB? I mean, I don't know.
At the time, yeah, you could have made, Shaky and Josh were making pretty good money and stuff like that. And I think, I could have negotiated something for my deal that, yeah, it would have been pretty decent, Yeah. But
I think at the time the US dollar to euro to pound was pretty, like you didn't need to make 100,000 pounds. You could make 70,000 pounds in your $100,000. It was pretty good. Yeah, really good conversion.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I don't even think of that. Like when you think about making money in Europe.
And then a big pull too for that as well is Stuart Higgs is a great guy, but he needs an American over there. So it's like that's kind of helping the situation as well.
Yeah, for sure.
On keeping you there and
then
getting more money out of it.
And Rispoli came along.
Yeah, then Rispoli came around.
It's a great way to American hope.
Yeah.
You gave it away?
No, you came in and stole the show.
Come on, the showman, dog.
So World Supersport, that was on R6? That
No,
That
this
was
is
on
Cali.
Kawasaki.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right,
it was
right, right.
it was the Pony Express, dude.
Yeah. The Inamoto Czech team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah. Don't know where the money came from, but they ran a team.
That's not the same. Well,
No, it's not
Sam
Yak.
was-
No, that's Yakshnik.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, that's another.
They were that was a Russian team, I think.
Same
Yeah.
thing, though.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal.
Yeah.
Didn't know where the
Yeah.
money was coming from.
Oof,
Yep.
who cares?
That's racing, dude.
Yeah, who cares, man? As
Yeah,
long as
who
it,
cares?
as long as the
As long as
bikes
the
are
check
there.
clears.
Listen, we had the nicest rig in the paddock.
Did you?
Better than Johnny Ray's, better than anybody's.
I love it.
Yep.
How did
So-
that year go?
It was pretty good, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. I got 6th in the championship my first year in World Supersport, but like that too, I like started getting better as the year went on, you know.
Mhm.
So my results were way better at the end of the year.
So for people that don't know, you were in World Superspike then, World Supersport. Was there electronics then, or was it
Yeah, there was full electronics in World Supersport.
like closed
Those
loop
years.
TC and everything, or
Yep, it had TC. I don't know about closed loop,
okay?
but yeah, it had TC and yeah, pretty much everything.
And then who were the players? I'm assuming Safoglu was the big player at the
So
time.
Foglu was there. Vandermark was there that year. Marino was there. I don't even know who else was there.
Yeah, okay. And then
There's a bunch of big names in that class that year. I don't know if Lowe's wasn't there that year. I don't think.
and you were there for that's kind of where you made most of your career was what there.
Yeah, it's where it all started. I got a few podiums in World Supersport, and then it kind of took off from there. I beat Keenan my first year on a Kawasaki. He was on a Kawasaki, so I think after Mazzano when I beat him, it took off.
And you beat Matt Misano.
Yeah, and
That's a tough track.
Vandermark was first, I was second, and Keenan. And I was in that race with them the whole race. So I think from that point, you know, then I started to do a lot better towards the end of the year, and it started to kick off for me, to be honest.
You
Good.
go. You're
What do you feel like changed at that point? Like, did your riding like progress throughout all this, or did you feel like it was just more you mentally you were like in a place to take advantage of your
You know,
talent?
I think it's like any rider. You know, at the start of the year, you're kind of like you're nervous. You're scared because you're already in your head, but you're not saying it. Think that those guys are better than you, and you know you're just happy to be kind of on the grid and getting closer and closer to the front, right? But then when you eventually do get to the front and you see those guys and after a while you're like, oh hey, you know, I can run with those guys. Then you know it clicks in your head and you get confidence.
Yeah.
And then once you get the confidence, then you're there, and that's what ends up happening. And it's like any rider, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So for you, it's mostly just confidence.
Yeah, confidence, and just maybe learning a little bit of stuff, but then
Yeah.
it brings you to the front group, and then once you're in that front group, you know that you can be in the front group all the time.
I think, I mean, so when you were growing up, I feel like you were always kind of, I don't know, I think it was like maybe just something everybody said that you could just literally jump on any, you were one of those guys that jump on any bike and just be really fast. At what point did you kind of like start really looking at technique and things of that nature? I mean, you're coaching now. Was it you in the World Championship working on things like that? I mean, we're always trying to grow as a rider, but were you just still being seat of the pants, you know, kind of PJ in my eyes, where you could just jump on anything with any setting really and kind of go? I mean, that's kind of how, looking from afar, it looked like you could, you know, really do that. You had a real talent for jumping on motorcycles that maybe weren't the best or had the best settings and could go really fast.
Yeah, I think that just like, you know, going to the World Championship at that point, you maybe like can't really do that anymore. So then you got to work on other things. And, you know, I was lucky that year that I had Andrew Pitt, who was a 2-time World Supersport champion, as my crew chief. So he was helping me the whole year progress as well and get closer to the front. So I think like him showing me things to do on the World Supersport 600 and stuff like helped me a lot as well, having him in my corner.
I think we talk about that all the time, just finding that one kind of mentor that can really get you to the next level, that you kind of get your hooks into and really have somebody that can believe in you. I'm sure Andrew started believing in you pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's what happens. You know, it's like, for me in my career, I think one downfall, a lot of other riders have it as well, but, you know, when other teams don't want to hire the crew chief that you trust or you've had good results with, and they don't want to bring them to the next team. That's a huge downfall because you're starting over with a guy that knows nothing about you, and you know nothing about him.
Yeah.
Trust is already
Yeah.
It's like dating a new chick. It's the same thing.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's
Like
like
nervous. You're like, hey.
Yeah, you don't know each other. You don't know what they like. They don't know what you like. You don't trust each other. You're kind of like,
you gotta build it over time.
yeah, you have to build a new relationship with them, and then what happens? I meant that whole the chick thing. It's the same thing. By the end of the season, you're over there laughing, and you both know exactly what you like.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
How hard is that? Like, how many different crew chiefs have you worked with in your career?
A lot.
Yeah,
Couldn't even
probably
tell
just
you
as
how
many bikes as different bikes. You've ridden so many
Pretty
different
much
bikes, right?
every single year. MV Augusta, Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki,
Ducati. Rode a Ducati.
Cowie.
Ducati.
BMW. Two-stroke.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I've had probably a crew chief for every single bike I've ridden,
Yeah.
plus more.
Yeah. Do you think like now, because this is probably one of the first consecutive seasons you've had in
A long time.
a long time with Tytlers on the BMW, right? With the same crew chief, more or less the same crew.
Yeah, this is like my first 2-year deal I've ever had that I have this almost the same crew chief for sure, team and bike.
Yeah.
This is my first time ever in my
pretty
career,
nuts to
and I'm
like think
30
about.
years old.
Yeah, to think about how many different situations you've been in to only have that twice in your whole career
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
How many opportunities you tried, and that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Do you
And
think
then
that
if you trusted, like if you had your crew chief there that you trusted and they just wouldn't bring him along, like what could have been on other bikes or other teams,
Yeah,
better
100%.
outcomes than what you had.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, it makes sense for sure. I mean, I think that's a lot of the things that people don't like when people are critiquing riders or, picking favorites, whatever it is, like they don't think about those things when it comes time to like, well, why is this guy not doing so well? It's like,
Yeah.
we can't just go from one team doing well with all the perfect pieces of the puzzle and then, you take half the puzzle and go to the next place. It's not going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
It is definitely. So I remember. So you had the Intermoto, the Pony Express deal, and then you swapped to a Honda, right? At some
Yeah.
point with the same team or no?
I swapped to the Honda halfway through that season in my second season of World Supersport.
And then
So,
yeah, okay.
I didn't have another opportunity to go somewhere else after my first year. So I was committed to my team that I rode for, Intermoto, again in 2015. And then, everything, I was training super hard and I had a good start to the season and stuff. Well, not a good start to the season, but it was going okay, And I was in the mix. I was third in the championship at the time. And then my team decides that a lot of them don't want to show up at Donington Park. And then basically I'm begging my mechanics to roll my bike out on the grid because they haven't been paid all year. Nobody's been paid. So they just want to be done. They don't even want to go to the grid. They literally just want to go home at this point. So I'm just begging them on Sunday just to make it out there because I'm third in the championship and I'm going to figure it out. And I'm telling them, hey, I'll pay you guys, whatever. Just let me know what it is to get my bike out there. Get my bike out there. I get fifth in the race, right? The team is gone after that. The guy is like locked up. He's pronounced dead, all these things. I got none of my gear back, none of my helmets back, nothing.
What?
The whole truck was confiscated from the police in Czech Republic, all that stuff.
Holy crap.
So I'm third in the championship at this point. I got no ride,
Sounds like he needed to call Law Tigers.
That's exactly what you needed to do. That's what you need to do. 1-800 Law Tigers, everybody.
So, yeah, I'm third in the championship, and I'm just thinking, like, what am I going to do? I have no ride. So, at this point, another team was getting rid of another rider. I forgot what his name was. One of the top Honda teams. But it was a core Honda team that was a Thai team, and they leased everything from 10K. So 10K had their own team with Kyle Smith, or I think it was at the time. And then the Thai team, core Honda, leased everything from them. So it was basically the same 10K bike. And then I ended up riding that for the remaining season. And instantly I was third at Portimao. And then from there on, I was on the podium every single time. And unfortunately, like by the end of the season, I think I was like 20 points shy. And Keenan I was putting pressure on him to win the world championship at that point. He won the championship in Magnicourt with 2 races to go, and I won the race. So I tried,
What was the race where you and Keenan were going back and forth was it in the rain?
Yeah, that was Magnicourt.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
because I really needed him to crash.
yeah.
And we touched so many times in the race, and then finally he said, like, screw this, I'm done.
Yeah. Dude, I literally remember watching this race live, and it was insane.
You ever go back and watch those races, like
No,
just to remind
No, he
yourself?
doesn't.
But I remember, though, in the race, though, I was trying so hard to, like...
Dude, I remember you passing him in, like, weird places.
Oh, yeah, I remember,
There was no places to pass. It was like, it was like daylight and just, like, I'm like, dude.
Yeah, I remember in that race, too, like, I was, like, in the back section, the left to right. Because every time we'd get in the small right together and then come out of there side by side, like, hitting each other. And then I remember it was just wet around there, completely closing the front one lap. I was like, oh, I'm done, But he was coming with me, that was the problem. But I was trying to slow down the race as well because Mahias was behind us, who was my teammate in Intermoto as well. And I was trying to get him to come in the race because he's French and he would want to win the race at Magnicourt, So if I got him involved, it was better, and maybe he would have, kind of gave Keenan a bump or something,
Do you think Keenan was the hardest guy you've ever raced against?
Yeah, 100%.
And why? Like, we've heard this from several people, just not on our podcast, but you just hear. But why? Is he just, like, and we can see with Toprak, he
Sam
kind
even
of...
said that. Sam was like,
Yeah.
one of the hardest.
Yeah,
Why?
his World Supersport career is not like his career. Like, that dude should have been in MotoGP.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
he's just ridiculous. I don't know. He has this, like, UFC mentality where he just, like, if you're in front of him or there, like, you're done. He's gonna just keep coming and coming and coming and coming and coming until you cross the line in front of him. Like, he doesn't give up. Does not give up.
It's kind of Toprak, too. Like, you can
Yeah,
totally see the same...
He's trained Toprak,
That's insane.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
I mean, look at them at their facility, like how they all ride together and stuff like that.
Well, everyone that comes out of that group is like cut.
Yeah,
Dude,
they're just so aggressive.
Even what's his name? Bahan Safoglu?
Anchu, right? He's
his Safoglu. Is it Bahan Safoglu? It's like his cousin. I don't think it's his son.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's his cousin,
Yeah, he rides for MV, and he's savage.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So what did you learn racing around him that whole, what was that, 3 years you had to race against him, or 2?
I raced him 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
What was like the biggest thing?
No, 3 years I raced him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
3 years.
What did you learn riding around him?
Just that he's like a very aggressive rider. I mean, if he sees any opening, the guy takes it, and he just, I don't know.
You kind of have to ride that way to compete with him?
Yeah, and he's very smart, He's a very smart guy because he already goes out in free practice 1, and he's almost on the lap record. Sets the bar because he knows all the young kids, all the people behind him are going to be pushing. He wants them to crash, He wants them out of the race. He already sets the bar. Free practice 1 lets them know, I'm here, I'm winning this weekend. And it's every weekend.
Yeah, it's tough. He did that his whole career pretty much,
Dude,
which is crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, second lap,
Yeah.
Like, it's no joke with that guy.
And so that year you actually raced 2 different bikes and almost won the championship.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's
I think
nuts.
I would have won the championship if I didn't have my, a couple bad results at the start of the year with the other team.
Yeah. Wonder how many people, has anyone ever done that? Won a championship on 2 different brands? Wasn't there something recently? I read something somewhere. Maybe it was in motocross or someone switched midway through the year. But yeah, it's pretty hard to come by where that type of situation works out. How much different was that Honda?
Nervous?
What?
You nervous to take a sip of that or what?
I don't know what's in it. It smells like Tito's.
It's just water, dude. It's just water.
No, dude. We need you ready to rock, dude.
I'll be ready to rock, all right.
Might have to call Law Tigers. Bet you had a Jeff. You'd be drinking that stuff on the way home.
Hey, this is a good point to just plug Law Tigers, our sponsor. We got Law Tigers. If you guys are in an accident or know somebody's in an accident, please call 911, then call Law Tigers, 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. And for people that don't know, you don't pay for it. They go straight to the insurance companies and fight for you.
Yeah. got to have somebody who has your back, especially out on these streets. It's rough out there on the road, so got to make sure you have some protection. You got law tigers working for you.
Definitely.
What about you? You have any situations you've been in throughout your career that you needed a get out of jail free card?
I mean, I've had a lot of situations. Probably need them a lot in my career, to be honest with you. But no, I mean, I guess you know, James has been at amateur nationals and stuff like that. You know, like you get a bunch of situations. I remember my dad. You know, I was ride up and down on the scooters at the hotels and stuff like that. All these kids getting all messed up. And I remember, taking one kid's scooter, going down the hill, and then, I come running back up the hill. All my teeth are gone.
No way.
And there's
What?
me going to the hospital.
You lost all your teeth?
Yeah, well, luckily they were baby teeth, but yeah,
I guess
got them knocked out on a scooter, and,
Like a motorized scooter, not like a pedal scooter.
No, like one of the razor scooters.
Oh no.
Honestly, that's like how I've messed myself up most of my career is like off of bicycles or like little razor scooters and stuff like that.
That is
Yeah.
insane.
Yep. So at amateur nationals there with no teeth.
You
know.
raced?
Yeah.
No teeth.
No teeth.
You got any pictures of that?
My
You
dad
have
probably
to.
does.
We
but
gotta-
We
yeah.
need that.
We gotta
Yeah.
call them up.
Oh,
Well,
all right.
that's your Law
take
Tigers
it.
get out of jail free card.
There it
Knocking your
is.
front teeth out at amateur nationals and still. Did you win?
Exactly. I think I did still win.
No
yeah.
teeth.
Yep.
You don't need teeth to win.
You don't need teeth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, you
That's how
don't.
they used to do it back in the day.
I would love to hear your podium speech.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I think I had a towel in my mouth.
Probably. Probably bleeding the whole time. That's brutal.
Probably Keith thinking he's like, man, he wasn't doing good enough. Keith just popping a couple.
Yeah, no, you screaming at me still, telling me, I told you no like 50 million times, Dad things.
Can't tell me nothing. All right. Well, so you did well on the Honda. When did you get that HRC call? Because that's pretty like prestigious just to even have a relationship with HRC directly, right?
Yeah, like in 2018 when I was in World Superbike, I was riding for a satellite Honda team. But luckily I was under a Honda HRC contract. A Honda Europe contract. And then I got the call for HRC for the Suzuka 8-hour situation because one rider, Camir, he couldn't do it. So I got to be able to be his fill-in. And I was supposed to ride for the other team that was just below that, the satellite team. So they moved me up because I was the fastest at the test, and I did Suzuka the year before that, or 2 years before that with FCC. So yeah, they called me for that.
How do you like endurance racing? How much different is it from?
Yeah,
regular stuff?
it's way different. It
Yeah.
definitely is way.
Yeah, but
different.
like Suzuka is different than endurance racing. Like Suzuka's not. It's like the MotoGP of endurance races. Like, what's it like riding for the factory Honda team with Bridgestones and like those things are unobtainable. Like those aren't superbikes. They're like GP production motorcycles. I mean, was it?
Yeah, the Suzuka 8-hour bike was like ridiculous. Way better than our bike in World Superbike. It was crazy, It's like the HRC team in MotoGP building that Superbike they have based off of Bridgestone tires at the Suzuka 8-hour. And then you're going against Kawasaki, Suzuki, all the manufacturers, Yamaha, and they want to win because Honda owns the circuit and they want to win at Suzuka.
Does that bum you out? Like just being able to see what Honda can do and then what you have to go back to?
Yeah, it does. But I think, now they've put a lot of time and effort into trying to develop their World Tour bike around maybe the 8-hour bike, and it's not really working for them too well on the Pirellis right now.
Oh.
But I think that they're doing it for sure. But I think there was definitely a lack there for a while, But they're definitely trying, and I think their more focus is MotoGP, even though they have issues there. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What how hard was that? Was a tough year, that World Superbike year for you, right? Coming from like
Yeah,
having a really good year in
2018.
World Supersport, a couple of years in World Supersport that were like really successful.
Yeah.
That Honda year on the World Superbike, what was that like? Like how difficult was that?
Why did they give you a contract to ride that bike?
So, like, I did World Supersport for, 14 to 17, right? And I was on different manufacturers through that. And then I figured I got an opportunity from Honda when they came up to me. Because I rode for them under a factory contract in 2016 in World Supersport.
Okay, that's when you had the white and blue. And
Yeah, and that was a
cool- yeah,
factory deal. I was on a factory contract, all that stuff.
for 10K,
For 10K.
but on factory contract.
Yeah. but there were some situations in there I don't really like that weren't too good in 2016 that I wasn't too happy about that I should have had from 2015. But anyways, yeah, they called me in 2017 when I rode for MV Augusta, and I got the contract for 2018 to move up because they wanted to. This guy was coming in with a team that was a Ducati team before, and he wanted to have full support, full Honda stuff in 2018 for a World Superbike team, one rider. So Honda was like, okay, yeah, let's do this with you, you know. So they ended up doing that with them, and they said, oh, we have a rider for you. This is the rider. And then they asked me, but I would be under a Honda contract. I was under a full Honda contract, not with the team, with Honda. So I ended up doing that thing as a satellite bike. And then also, too, they had their whole Magnelli Morelli system that they just brought in that year because they were switching.
Because
Cosworth,
all the manufacturers had to pick, didn't they?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All the manufacturers had to pick, and the Magnelli Morelli was brand new. They never used it. So we started with it.
Ugh. I remember coming up to you at Donington Park, I think, and we had a chat, and I haven't seen you in years.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you about it, and I remember seeing you probably don't even remember this conversation. The look on your face was just like I remember just asking you a couple questions about it because I saw you coming on out of Melbourne Loop. Is that right? I think at Donington. And dude, your bike sounded so fucking bad. Dude, it was like cutting in and out, dude, and it was just doing like it was the worst thing.
Is that how that sounds?
Dude, it was the worst thing I've ever seen. I was like, and I think I saw it, I was like, dude, what is going on with your bike? And you were just like, don't even talk to me about it. I wouldn't say it, but
so you were a factory rider, but you weren't getting the same factory bike essentially, or you were, and it just sucked.
Yeah, there's a gray area I think in there.
Really?
Well, because was Johnny still riding for Honda then, or did he switch?
No,
to
so 10K, Jake was on the bike, Gagne.
Oh yeah,
and it was Camir. It was Gagne and Camir, right? And they were on the factory Red Bull thing.
And they struggled too.
Yeah, and again, they ended up choosing Jake over me in another situation, like a Tommy Hayden thing, because Jake was Red Bull.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
So Jake got the Red Bull spot because it was a Red Bull team.
Yep. Wow.
So I ended up getting moved to that satellite team under a Honda contract.
Wow. And I remember that bike was not good.
Yeah, so I don't even know what they ended up getting, but they were told that they were supposed to get what they were getting.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened.
So that's why you kept showing up, because you're on a Honda contract.
Yeah. Yep. And then
then you got to do the Suzuka thing, which was for them was huge because did you win Suzuka?
I got second. We were close to winning it.
But that's for them, that's everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I was under the Honda contract, and then when Camir went to do it, he got hurt in one of the crashes, or he got a World Superbike crash. I can't remember what happened, but I tested there anyway and was pretty fast, like one of the fastest Honda guys. I think I was the fastest Honda guy. And then I got the call to do the HRC thing, and then I had to go test for them. I literally got back, and then I literally had to get on a plane back to Japan because HRC wanted me there because they rented the direct by themselves. So it was just me and Takahashi riding the bikes at Suzuka. Just us two. And, it was strange. And I did, my fastest time I ever did there. I was, super happy, pumped, everything, smiling. And then I come in, and they're like, hey, you only did 2 laps in 2:06. I said, yeah. I did 2 laps. That's my fastest laps I've ever done here, And they're like, yeah, but you only did 2. We wanted to see more. I'm like, God, you want to see more? It's my fastest lap I've ever done there. I'm holding my breath right now because that thing was so fast. You know what I mean? And they want to see more. They wanted to see 10 in a row.
Or and I'm endurance racing, right? That's what you got to do more or less for.
I mean, yeah, but it's a pretty fast time around Suzuka, And I just remember and then my face just was depressed. I was just depressed. I went from smiling to depressed, and I was like, wow.
I love that, dude.
Yeah, but that's HRC though.
You want to see more?
That's
What?
Yeah,
brutal.
that's
Talk
them.
about practice.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be perfect though. That's how it is there.
So, and I was literally just gonna ask you that. What's it like working with the Japanese? Because it's all Japanese crew, everything.
Yeah, it's good. It's they're very strict.
Really?
Like they're very strict people, you know. And they do more listening than talking. Put it that way. They listen to what you have to say, and they don't.
Can you joke with them,
they
or
don't
is it?
Yeah, you can, but it's a quick joke. You know, it's a quick smile and back to
Yeah,
serious.
they're very proper and very.
Yeah, they're very proper. All that stuff. Yeah. I mean, I loved all the guys, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity that I got and everything. You know.
So in the race, were you the fastest? Were you the fastest Honda guy doing a 206 or?
So in the race, my teammate was Nakagami
Okay.
and Takahashi, and I was the third rider.
Yep.
And sometimes they don't use the third rider; they just use two sometimes, especially like the factory team. You know, like Yamaha and stuff. Sometimes just uses two riders, or they'll use three and just use them as like one session or something. But when I got the call, they planned on just using Nakagami and Takahashi. So every time that I went out and all the sessions that you do and everything, because it's a long time. You know, you get there on Wednesday and you don't race till like Sunday or something. You know, so you do all these sessions all the time. But every time I was on a session, I was doing it on used tires. I think I got a new tire like one time out of the 8 sessions I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I did a pretty decent time, and then they combine all the times. So I think we were like third or second on the grid for the race. You know, and then they told me that they were gonna just use Nakagami and Takahashi because they're doing all this math and doing all this stuff, and they're like, we think this is the best solution. So they wanted to do that for the race, right? So then they started the race, and they started with Takahashi, I think, and then they were going back and forth, Takahashi, Nakagami, right? And then something happened with like Takahashi's back or something like that. So they're like, PJ, you need to get your leathers on right now. You have 2 minutes, or you have 5 minutes or something like that. So there's me, like, just sitting out. I'm hanging out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's
Drinking a
me,
coffee.
yeah, rushing to go get my leathers on, right?
Not even remotely.
No, I got to be on leathers on, all that stuff. When he
you're
comes
racing.
in and he's like, you know, doing his pit stop, I got to be ready to go. I literally got 5 minutes. Like, I was in a rush, you know? So I do that, right? And I get out there, and the cloud's just black. So now it's going to rain, right? I've never rode with Bridgestones in the rain. Or done a session on the bike in the rain. Right? So here's me out there, right? And the rain tires are on the bike already. That's what happened. When he came in, they changed the tires and put the rain tires on, right? Because it was black and it was like sprinkling a little bit, right? And all the guys have their stuff and everything like that. They know it's gonna pour rain in Suzuka, right? So then it starts pouring rain, right? I'm out there for the longest session that I've ever done. It was like an hour and a half, and me and Vandermark were riding around because we were in first and second. So I was going with him the whole entire hour and a half. Yeah. Safety cars out there in front of us. Someone crashes, and then he's leading, and then I lead, and then I lead. Da da da. And then I decide to come in because the tires were completely smoked, you know? And he started getting away. So I came in, gave the bike to Nakagami. And then Nakagami went back out there with slicks, and I told him, hey, listen, it's patchy, but it's dry. Like, you can go fast, you know? He goes out there, and he gets passed by Alex because we took first back. And he got passed by Alex, and Alex starts taking off. And Nakagami kind of just like, I feel like, kind of just stopped the race maybe at that point because like it was just too wet, I guess, for him with the slicks. But at this time, it was nighttime as well, you know?
Yeah, so you don't...
So it was a pretty sketchy situation. And I think we lost by 15 seconds.
That's so crazy.
10
it
seconds.
was to Cali, right?
10 seconds.
Was-
No, to the Yamaha.
Oh.
To race that long to lose by
Yeah.
Holy
8 hours, we lost by like 10 seconds.
That's so nuts.
Yeah. And we started catching Alex again at the end.
Was
of
it
the race.
Alex, Paul, and Bradley? Or...
No, it was Alex, Vandermark, and
There you go.
Nakashima.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you only got to do one. You did 1.5 hour stint.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's
hour and a
it?
half.
That's
and then,
all I did.
And then they were like...
Yeah, I did. And I did the shittiest one you could possibly ever do.
And you stayed in the lead.
it was raining.
Were
It
they
was like
pumped after-
hailing,
were they
and
pumped?
it was drying up like patchy. It was so shitty.
So when you came in after that, were they pumped? 'Cause
Yeah,
you
they're
got through
all
it?
yeah, exactly. They were pumped. Yeah, they're all the biggest smile I've ever seen on their face. I'm coming in, I was miserable because the conditions I was just riding in the whole time. I come in and they're all, yeah, great job, this is awesome, da da da. I'm like, fuck my life.
What's the biggest thing about riding a Japanese HRC superbike? Like, what's, if you could say one thing, like, what's so crazy about it without saying the tires? Because everyone says the tires are nuts.
I mean, I just think that, like, even riding for HRC is, like, the coolest thing.
Yeah, but like,
that's
is there anything on the bike that you're like, I've never felt this on any other motorcycle? Like, was it just like the smoothest thing you ever was? Could you feel the TC? Like, was there anything that was like, wow?
I mean, yeah, they have their electronics a bit different, like, setup wise. And the bike was super stiff.
Really?
Yeah, it was super stiff, and it just, like, with the Bridgestone tires, the thing just doesn't move. So
Was
it's
that
like,
weird?
It was weird, yeah.
Because it has so much grip?
It has so much grip. So
That's
much
crazy.
grip, yeah. And you're, like, going into some of the corners that we would not do that on a normal superbike with Pirellis or Dunlops. And you're just, like, going in, and it's hooking the corner.
Whoa.
And it's not sliding, not losing the front, nothing.
So still the tires are the craziest part.
It's, like, just, like, on a qualifying tire, like, just stuck.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're just on, off the gas, that's it.
So you never really, like, electronics are so good you can just,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
And how hot was it? Was it that hot?
Yeah, it was pretty hot.
Did they have, like, I know some teams they've got, like, masseuse and, like ice baths and stuff like that. Do they have all that? Did you have, like, a strict, what was the food like? Did they have, like, food, like regular food, like chicken and rice? Or did you have to stick to...
Yeah, so they have, like, these little, like, these box things that you go in as a rider and stuff that you're in. And they have, like, a group of people there. So there's, like, probably 8 people,
Just-
like, working with you.
Just for you?
Doing acupuncture. Doing food orders. Making sure that you're hydrated and stuff like that. And in the HRC one, like, it was a one that I've never, like, been in my life. Like, they had everything going on there, And, like, I work out and I'm, like, fit and stuff like that. I do all this stuff. But, like, this was stuff that I've never seen, They're, like, checking your, like, your weight and everything. Like, it's
Just
crazy.
after every time you get on the
Yeah,
bike?
so after when you get off the bike and you're sweating and all that stuff, you have to go on the scale before you get on the bike and after you get off
So
the
they're-
bike.
Wow, so they're
Checking the
making
water
sure,
weight and
yeah.
stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you ever, like, I mean, we're at the racetrack, so.
Dude,
Guys,
this
is
guy's
out
doing
here.
a dyno
Circle
pull.
wheelies or something. Do you ever, like, reflect back on that? Like, just sitting here with you now, like, I've got to think it's pretty amazing just even to, like, share the track with you, knowing the things that you've been through and, like, the places you've been. Do you ever sit back and think about that stuff? Like, the fact that you got to experience that with HRC, and then when you think about it, do you compare it to now, or do you just kind of, like, put that as a part of your life that you got to do something really cool and now you're here where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy that you say that, actually, though, because, so when I won in Brainerd, that Friday, right, FCC, like, I guess we had a really good relationship and connection, and they've won the World Championship so many times now, with Hook and everyone else. They called me Friday night, and they wanted me to come do
Because
Suzuka.
Hooky got hurt.
Yeah, Hook got hurt. Mackenzie, I think, filled in for him. But, yeah, they called me Friday night, and I was, like, freaking out, Like, what am I going to do? What would Michael say and stuff like that with the whole BMW thing. And I was just like, do I really, like, should we go back and do that? Or like, let's see what happens, like, with the BMW thing here. And, I think it was just best with that whole situation to focus on the weekend and focus on the BMW program. And luckily, I was happy enough with the decisions that we made as, like, a group to not do that. But it's crazy how you get the phone call still to come and do the Suzuka 8-hour.
I mean, once you're on the podium of Suzuki 8-hour with factory Honda, I don't think your name ever comes off that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's just, you're stamped in there, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, so Suzuka was not the same weekend as Brainerd. It would have been this.
It was the weekend after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but it's
then-
like things like Corey just said, like, they'll never experience, like, I'm so lucky that motorcycle racing, that I've been a part of the whole thing, because I would have never seen the world like I've seen it without being a motorcycle racer, especially, like, being in Tokyo and stuff like that. Like, who's ever been to Tokyo?
Yeah.
Definitely not
It's
on a
like
free
crazy.
trip. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're racing
no,
bikes.
it's like a.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
it's
know?
a bucket list thing for I think so many people like myself. I've never been, and couldn't imagine. Like I would love to do. It's one of my big bucket lists is to try to do Suzuka, let alone on a factory motorcycle. I mean, those opportunities just don't come around.
Yeah.
I know. Just being your teammate this year, like, and obviously we've been close for a long time, but you've had some low points in your career. Obviously, how easy is it to forget about that stuff? Like to forget, I guess, where you've been. Like when you're in those moments where things are tough, like and you're kind of like, I'm done with this. I kind of want to go do something else. Do you ever take the time to reflect on like the fact that you've been able to do all these things because of your ability and where it's taken you?
Yeah, that's a hard one, because I feel like all of us have these low points and stuff, and especially when weekends are going bad and things are not going right for you and stuff like that, you just want to give up with this whole thing, and situation of motorcycle racing. But I think that that just, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's like from getting older or not, but you got to think too that you can't like take the fun out of what we do, and you got to kind of put that to the side as well when you're having really, really bad days and difficult moments and stuff like that. And yeah, it is a good thing to sit back and look at all the things that you've done and like not accomplished, but been through this whole racing thing of where you've gone and all those things like that and stuff. But yeah, like on your low points, it is super, super hard to just get the motivation to kind of like stand up and like move forward on weekends that are so difficult. But at the end of the day, like when you get older and stuff like that, you just got to be like, hey, I love doing what I'm doing, and I've been doing this since I've been 3 years old. You guys have been super young doing it, and it's just like it's your life. So at the end of the day, motorcycle racing is like just lows and highs all the time, and that's the sport that we've signed up for.
Yeah, no, it's true for sure. Do you feel like at your age now that you're in a different place in your career? Obviously, you're at situation wise, but like mentally, do you feel like you're in a different position?
I think that I'm a bit more mature with maybe some thoughts and stuff. I think 5 years ago or something like that, 4 years ago, I was thinking like like the weekends you said and stuff, when things are going wrong, it's just like the first thing you want to do is, I'm done with this. Like I'm just gonna go to work or something like that. I'm done with racing. Like fuck racing. But I think when you mature more and stuff like that, you kind of sit back and realize things, and then you try to pull the fun back in and say, hey, I'm a lucky person that I'm doing this and I'm able to do this. And no, I don't want to go work a full-time job and do that shit. I want to race a motorcycle, have fun, and be able to make money doing this like great thing that that our talent allows us to do.
Yeah.
Did you, when you had kind of that rough patch and you started doing some teaching, you worked for your dad in the steel building game. When you started working there, did that give you some sort of like, hey, like I don't want to do this, I want to race still? Like, did you ever have that, or like did you touch the other side even though and go, you know what, no man, I'm not done racing, I'm still too good and I still want it? Or like how did that have any effect? Or because I know some people like grass is greener on the other side, like you're saying, fuck racing, I'm just gonna get a normal job. They go get it and they go, dude, you know what, I had like the sickest life even though it was hard. Did you get any of that, like dealing with working for your dad? Because I know you still help him now, and we've talked about it. Like, it's something you help him with. You guys are doing really well, and you're dabbling now both sides. But were you able to kind of look at that and go, hey, this is not what I want. I'm not ready for this yet.
I don't know if I like if I did that or not. I think I went back to work for him after my whole 2020 like burn situation, and I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of a weird person, but like I went to work out in the field with him, like actual on the steel buildings and stuff with his foreman, and I like really enjoyed it, and I was all into it and stuff. And I feel like I only enjoyed it though because it was something so different to what I'm used to doing So I was like, why are these guys taking a lunch break and stuff like that? Because I just want to keep working. You know what I mean? I want to keep doing this stuff because I'm actually having so much fun doing that. Because it's so much different. But at the end of the day, though, when I would go and I was coaching that kid Sam and stuff like that, when you're not working and stuff like that, watching other riders and your heart is always here. And when you watch other riders out in the grid, like, you should be out there with them.
Yeah. Especially when you can beat them. You're looking at it like, I should be winning that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or he's on this ride and that person's on this ride. It's like, I should be on this ride or something like that.
Yeah.
You're out there thinking like you should be on the grid. You shouldn't be like back home working, on a steel building when like you're this age and you have the talent to still be able to do that stuff, But at the end of the day as well, you have to think like a realistic person and know that racing eventually runs out of time. And at the end of the day, when your time runs out, what do you have? So what you have is you need to also establish other stuff in life as well as when you're racing, businesses and stuff that you're going to do after that. So it's a good thing as well to get a taste or into something else that doesn't involve racing, because at the end of the day, you're not always going to do this.
Yeah. Have you done anything else kind of throughout your career outside of racing? Have you like invested in stuff, or have you made any other decisions, or is that something you wish you had done more of when you were younger and maybe in different positions?
I feel like I'm in a pretty good position right now with stuff. I have a really good connection with my dad and the business that he runs. Some other stuff with like real estate things on property and stuff like that, and building, like upper class homes and stuff like that. I'm kind of like getting myself involved in a lot of things like that are right now, and then will take me out of when the racing's all done and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. How much has your perspective on all that stuff changed since you had a daughter? Obviously, your daughter's how old now, 2?
Yeah, she's like a little older than 2.5.
Yeah, so did your perspective on those kinds of things all of a sudden be like, shit, I've got to like think about life after racing a little bit more because I've got somebody else I got to take care of?
Yeah, having a daughter, like, obviously has brought a lot of different things to my head and stuff. I think, as a racer as well, like, I feel like a lot of racers are selfish, we're very selfish people that, because like, I don't know, it's just, we have one job to do and we're like,
yeah, you're programmed just to do that.
Yeah, you're programmed to do that. So I feel like it makes us selfish, and then having a daughter now made me less selfish, and more things have to be focused on her, but also I have to focus on myself as well because I'm doing this. But I think establishing good things and things that are later on in my career after racing, it just benefit her, because helps her go to college and do all these things. And now after my racing's done, it's like I focus on her and want the best opportunity that she can have in her life moving forward. And now it's her time. My time's over.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to your parents, obviously your dad raced. A lot of people don't probably realize, like, I actually don't even know. Your dad won a Grand National Championship in flat track? Did he ever win a championship?
No, he was just he just made a couple nationals and stuff like that.
National number and whatnot.
Yeah, he beat Scotty Parker a couple laps.
Wow.
Just didn't get it done, but it's on the wall at his house.
He's got the pictures. Got a big
yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
How much of your career was dictated by your dad? I guess obviously he didn't force you into racing, right? Like you wanted to do it, but how much of it was kind of led by his input, I guess, if you will, in terms of growing you into? You started at 3 years old. That's like super young. A lot of that's from your dad's input, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, all of it's from my dad. Like, I started when I was 3.5 years old. This like little indoor place that we used to ride at. Yeah, the Thunderdome. Exactly, the Thunderdome. In Middletown, New York. Like, that's where I first started. That's like my first thing was on training wheels. I remember like I went wide open to the wall. That was my first experience.
Sounds like PJ.
Yeah. And then he had to put the little little throttle on. stop it. I'm
Little
hoping
throttle
it's
stop.
so much. So yeah, my dad has like done everything for me, and he's he put so much time and effort like into motorcycle racing for me. Like we used to do everything, you know, like just like James's dad and stuff. Like you just go everywhere, you know, what race is going on. It's like instead of doing another sport, like I remember I was so good at baseball, and then my dad was just always like, "Yeah, you know, you're too small. You'll never make it at baseball." But I was pretty good. I was a really good pitcher, and my uncle was on the Kansas City Royals.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he was a catcher on the Kansas City Royals, and my dad would just shoot me down and say, "Hey, you're too small. These guys are huge. You're not gonna make it.
You're
you need to
racing.
be like a Danny Pedrosa or something. You're small. You need to race a bike." So you know, the travel team, All Stars, I'd always be on the team, and then I'd get kicked off the team because I wouldn't make it. You know, I wouldn't be allowed to go there
Yeah.
because we'd be doing a race. So I had to end up choosing like, hey, do I want to stay baseball or do I want to go motorcycle racing? And my dad pushed me to go motorcycle racing, but I wanted to do that anyways, you know. But like instead of baseball games, we were at the motorcycle races.
Yeah. And you got homeschooled obviously when you started going to the academy. Prior to that, you were in regular school?
Yeah, I was in regular school up until I was 12 years old.
Cool. Did you finish school? Did you actually like graduate from online school?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was just something we talked about a lot with Josh, and like, you know, how difficult that was doing the online school stuff. Did you find that pretty hard doing the homeschooling?
Yeah, I had like a tutor and stuff for a long time, and then doing all that.
Yeah. It's a tough way. Do you feel like that impacted you? Because you didn't go to high school at all.
No, I didn't go to high school at all. I got out of middle school at like 8th grade.
Yeah. And do you feel like that, like,
Yes. Yeah, the beginning of 8th grade.
do you feel like you missed out on stuff because of that? Like, obviously you didn't go to prom, and
Yeah.
maybe you did. I don't know if you went with somebody else, but do you feel like you missed out on like influential parts of your, I don't want to say childhood because you're a bit older at that point, but do you feel like you missed out on anything?
Racing and stuff has definitely like damaged, I guess, my like teen years, I would say. So yeah, I didn't go to high school, didn't go to college, so I missed out on all those, you know, college parties, high school stuff, because I was always racing and just committed to racing. You know, you had to be so professional, and like my dad would always, you know, if I did something wrong, you know, it's like a threat to say, hey, you're not gonna race anymore. Then you know, you do this, you smoke weed, you drink, you do anything like that. You know, like you need to go racing, and if you want to do this is what you need to do. You can't be messing around. So I didn't mess around or do anything because I didn't want racing to be taken away from me. So, yeah, I feel like I definitely missed a lot of that stuff, you know. And then I was also in a relationship when I was super, super young. So I feel like I wasn't out anyway doing that stuff because I was already in a relationship when I was like 14 years old.
Yeah, and you had a long relationship, right? That like lasted. I know you're not gonna get into that too much, but you had a long-term relationship. So, do you feel like, I know just from knowing you all these years, like this stage in your life, I feel like there's been a little bit of a change because you've almost gone back to experiencing things you should have experienced a long time ago. Do you feel that way yourself?
I think that yeah, just being in a long relationship like that and stuff like that, you know, racing and that I was focused on that so much. So yeah, I didn't get to like, I guess, experience all the stuff that other people got to experience and stuff like that. And now, you know, I'm 30 years old and stuff. I have a daughter, but yeah, it is what it is. That stuff really doesn't bother me. My main focus now is just focus on myself and doing the best I can and doing the best I can for as a father for my kid.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think it's cool. I'm like excited to see where you're at. You know, just having known you all these years, like I feel like you're actually coming out of your shell even a little bit too, in that way. So that's super cool. Would you describe your dad as like a racer dad? It's kind of a common question we ask people, but was your dad more of like the supportive type, like if you want to do this, great, if you don't, it's cool, or was your dad like get up, go training, like we're going racing?
He was for sure the get
Racer
up,
dad.
let's go racing.
Yeah,
No excuses. Yeah. You know, my dad was really really hard on me, and I think it was really good though. Like, you know, he wasn't too hard on me. He was just hard enough on me, you know, in sarcastic ways at times. and I think it was good. You know, like if I wanted to go do this, I'm gonna go do this. But he would somehow convince me mentally, like, hey, you know, it's a better option to go ride your 150 in the backyard than go like hang out with your buddies like for the night or something. Like, you know, get a little training in before the weekend. And for some reason, he would mentally convince me, and I'd be out there on my 150.
I remember we were probably like maybe 12 years old. You had a trainer, right?
Oh, yeah.
At like 12
yeah,
years old,
yeah.
Peter had a full-on trainer. I went to
Yeah.
the gym with him for like 2 or 3 days. We had like protein shakes every day after
Yeah.
the gym. We were on like, he was on like the full program, and I'm like just coming out of like, I think we must have been on summer break. I was still in like regular school, and
Yeah.
I am going to PJ's house to like
Yeah.
go to boot camp basically, because he's like, but you were like, I mean, that's where you were at, but it was
Yeah.
also like, this is what it takes, and especially at that time, like,
Yeah.
that's what it seemed like you had to be doing if you wanted to make it anywhere.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that
because I was like in the academy and the CEV and the whole situation. So I guess it was just like time to get serious. And my dad was getting like some probably recommendations and stuff from people like, hey, he needs to do this and
That's what you did.
stuff like that.
Do you I mean, you've had like such a long career. Like it's starting at 3 years old and then going to Europe. It's so young. Did you ever like feel like do you think like maybe 2020 was like a forced breather after the Ducati thing? Like you needed a breather almost like I get what I'm getting at is,
Yeah, I get it.
you know, like people get burned out a lot, and
Yeah.
a lot of kids that make it so young and are so fast. We see it in motocross and supercross and even in
Yeah.
GP so much that it's so grueling. Do you think, you know, like life has a funny way of maybe, you know, giving you that breather you needed to kind of saddle back up and then make a big push in your second half of your career? I don't know. Do you feel like you needed a break at the time?
I mean, that's probably a good point that you're making as well. Like maybe it happened for a reason, to be honest with you. But yeah, for sure you get burnt out in this sport. That's for sure.
I mean, 12 years old, 13 years old, drinking protein shakes.
Yeah.
I mean,
But even just like, you know, racing for the longest time and stuff like that, it's just like some days you're just like, dude, I got to get on a bike again, you know?
yeah,
And it's like, or some weekends you're just like, is this weekend over?
yeah. No, I definitely have been there.
It gets tiring sometimes. Just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Not even like physically, just like mentally,
Yeah.
you're just like, give me a little bit of space.
Yeah.
Where do you see? Obviously, you just had your first Superbike win at 30, right? And pretty late, I guess, and not late in terms of age, but late in how long you've been racing. Where do you see yourself kind of going beyond that? Obviously, hopefully you can keep the momentum going and build upon that. But like, I guess, are you just gonna keep racing until you can't anymore, type of thing? Like you got Josh Hayes, who's basically 50 and he's still winning races. He's got the talent to do it. But is that kind of the trajectory you see yourself on, or is there gonna be a point where you're like, no, I think I've had enough?
It's a hard one for sure. I think it depends like what type of person you are. I could see myself racing till I'm 34, maybe 35, if things are going good. You know, if I'm in the front and things are going good, I'm on a good team and stuff like that. But you know, when that stuff starts going downhill and you know you're kind of on your way out and you can't do that anymore, then it's time to maybe like just say, hey, I'm at this age and it's maybe time to just call it quits and focus on those other things in life that I said, and maybe like mentor somebody else or help somebody else. But you know, a big problem I think that we have as racers, though. I'm not trying to speak for everybody, but I think it's really a hard decision, and it's hard for yourself to walk away from racing, like, and just quit it. It's like really hard, you know, because like I guess we like all this stuff, you know. We like the adrenaline. We like racing motorcycles. We like how the whole weekends are and everything, even though we complain about it constantly. But like we all like it, and at the end of the day, it's like very hard to just like to stop, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's guys out there that keep going because they don't know how to stop.
Yep.
I think that's a lot of professional athletes.
Yeah, I
in
think it's
general.
hard. I mean, you dedicate, especially like in your case, you've been doing this for a crazy amount of time, right? It's hard to imagine doing something else. So much so to the point you said before, like you went to go do ironwork stuff, and you're like, I love this shit because it's something different. Like
Yeah.
that in itself says like you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what
exactly. Yeah.
I mean? No, I think it's hard. It's hard for anybody because once the show stops, it's kind of like people stop calling, right? You said it, like I think after you won last weekend, right? We were sitting in the trailer and you're like, my phone's blowing up. It's like, where were these people when I was fucking doing nothing? Right?
Yeah.
Nobody was calling me then, but it's like you win one race and it's like your phone's nonstop. It's
Exactly.
like, you know, part of you, I think, always is
Yeah.
looking for that next hit of like, you know, I want to prove everybody wrong, or I want to prove everybody that I've got this in me, right?
Yeah. And I try not to get like in that mentality because I don't want to like seem like a dick. But like that's what I said at the MotoAmerica like thing when we were getting interviewed. You know, like I think Sean Bice was like, "What does your like thing in the back of your butt mean?" Like they think I lost it, you know. And I was like, "Yeah, you know, I don't really want to get into it, but like it's more like of exactly what you said, you know. Like I said to him, you know, when you're at your lowest and on your lows and stuff like that, you don't find many people around. But you know, when you're on your highs and stuff like that, everybody wants to be your friend and say, "Hey, good job," and "Oh yeah, you're killing it," and you have all these people around you that haven't even been around, and it's like, "Hey, you know, where were you when I was having like my shittiest weekend? You weren't around, you know."
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's like a quote that I kind of live by, and then you kind of just remember like the people that are like, "Hey, chin up," or "Hey, you know, like it's fine, dude. You had a bad weekend," or something like that. All those people that are still like that still stay in the circle and are circulating, those are your people.
Yeah. And have you found those people? Like obviously, I know Barry, your dad, all them, but you know, coming back to the U.S. and stuff after being away for so long, did you find it hard to have that? Like people that you felt like believed in you, and that's kind of also where that comes from.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard. Like you as yourself has to believe in yourself the most. You know, you're the most person that you kind of like rely on and believe in yourself. But yeah, I've had a lot of I feel like supportive people and stuff that are always say nice things and stuff like that, and that are there in your corner. It doesn't really matter on your results or something like that, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Kind of a personal question, I guess. Not necessarily personal for you, but coming from me, what, as a rider, I think a lot of people regard you as like extremely naturally talented, right? Like obviously you've been doing this for a long time, you've got a lot of stuff, but just as a rider, like you can hop on anything, go very fast, that kind of stuff. How do you see yourself as a rider if you were going to describe yourself, like I know for me, like I'm pretty technical and I'm slow to get going up to speed and things like that. That's kind of like where I'm at. How do you describe yourself? Does that kind of line up for you? Like you feel like a lot of where you come from is just natural talent, or?
I don't know. That's a hard like question. Like if I were another rider looking at myself, I would say that I would say that I'm consistent, and then can be fast at times. That's the way that I would see myself as if I was another rider. You know, like some weekends you don't really know what you'll get out of that person.
Yeah.
You'll get consistency, I guess, like more so. But then you might get like, oh wow, he's like gonna be super fast this weekend or something like that. Like not an up and down rider, but like
Yeah, you're always there, but
yeah.
Sometimes you rep like super fast. Has it been easy? Like jumping on bikes, like has the speed always been easy for you? Going fast? Like have you ever had to think about it? Like,
No, I haven't really had to think about it and stuff. It's just like, you know, when someone ups your fast, then it gets like you're in that past your comfort zone where it's like, okay, this is another level right now, you know? And like I even feel like this year, like, you know, Cam's done some of that stuff. You know, Barbieri's like, you know, you see some lap times at some of the tracks that we've like been to like at the start of the year or something like that. I'm just like thinking like,
shit.
where the hell did he go that fast? You know, it's like where is that time at? You know, and you're just like, because you know how hard you're riding out there, and you're just like, what? This don't make sense.
What do you feel like you just said yourself? There's some weekends where you show up, right, and you're like, all of a sudden it's like, okay, here's PJ.
Yeah.
What is that for you when you feel that? Like what causes that to come out where it's like, why can't that be every weekend? I guess is what my question is. What's different like at like Brainerd where all of a sudden you just showed up and it was like, okay, he's here.
Yeah. I don't know, like Brainerd was kind of weird. Like I like that track for some reason, and I just feel like I go pretty good there. But I don't know. It's just like when things like are clicking and stuff, and the bike is like just working for you, it's just a lot easier to obviously ride and stuff. But yeah, then there's just like some other weekends where it's just not at all. Like, you know, like a place like the Ridge, I cannot get. I'd like rather just like someone come in for the weekend. They can sub for me. I'll coach them. Well, I won't even coach them. I'll just be around, like,
Yeah, they might
to
not
like
need any coaching.
Exactly. I'll probably just go to the casino down the road or something. But anyways, they can just fly in every year, sub for me, and then I'll just come back. So I already just count that as like a DNF weekend for me. You know?
Is it just like an Achilles heel thing? Like, what is it? Like, why? Like, what's so weird? Like, what is just a mental block? You just don't like it?
I don't know. You know, it's gonna be the weirdest thing though. Like, say I'm riding Superbike like the next 3 years or something like that, right? And I win the Ridge one of these weekends. I'm just gonna be like, this is a joke. Like, I must be dreaming or something, you know?
But so take that week, take the Ridge for example. What do you do to get better there next year?
Yeah, I guess like I gotta go like do track days there or something and just like figure out. But for me, it's like a feeling thing. I don't know why. I just like have no feeling there like with the front tire like every year that I've been there. You know, I think the layout is like okay, you know, but it's just like a feeling for me. And it's like for me, if I don't have like feeling at all, like if I don't have like, so I can do anything I want usually with the rear. Like, you know, on the gas and stuff like that. I have no problem if it's spinning or anything like that. But if I have no front confidence, my head's gone. And it's like, I just cannot ride the bike. Yeah.
It's so weird because the Ridge is like the closest thing to like a BSB kind of like.
Yeah.
And you were like had no issues there. That's kind of interesting why it's kind of an Achilles heel for you.
Yeah, it's like a terrible one for me.
Have you ever had any other tracks like that? You've ridden it like crazy amount of tracks, obviously.
I know. Have you ever had any other tracks where you just like fly somebody in a sub?
No, not really.
Dude,
that's pretty crazy.
That is
Just the
crazy.
Ridge, yeah.
Wow.
You figure it out.
Do you think any of it's mental? Like
Yeah,
now that you've got it
probably.
in your head that you're like, I suck here? Like,
Yeah,
it's
probably.
gotta be,
It's
man.
like a little bit of it and stuff like that
Yeah.
too, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever worked with a mental coach? I know you've worked with trainers and stuff like that in the past. Have you ever worked with any
No.
mental? No.
No.
Have you ever thought about it?
No, because I think I would like mentally mess them up.
That's so good.
Just put him in a
I don't
black
think
hole.
I've ever heard that.
they'd be
I would just mentally mess them up. PJ,
That's funny.
dark matter.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. You have anything else for him, Jimmy?
The only thing is I want to talk about your tattoos. Like, when did you become like
tatted.
when did you just like get your first tattoo? What was your first tattoo? And like, is it like, why do you have tattoos? Do they all have meaning, every single one, or is it just something cool?
So, like, I got my first tattoo when I was, 16 or something like that. And it was at this, one of my buddy's house, and he tattooed me in his living room.
Is your dad pissed?
No, my dad was there.
Oh, he's there.
Well, what is it? Is
It's
it covered up?
It's on my back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's faded now quite a bit, you know, because it was when I was 16. I'm 30 now. So, yeah. But that was my first tattoo. And then after that, like, I started getting tattoos because, like, I don't know, they started meaning stuff to me. And then I started just to go down my arms and stuff. And it was funny because, like, I remember telling, like, somebody that was like, yeah, I'll never get tattoos and all this stuff, you know?
You were straight edge.
Like, yeah, this guy, like, what does he look like? All that
Hells
stuff, you
Angels.
know? Yeah, that's when I was, like, I don't know, 14 years old, you know? I had this thing against tattoos. And then now I'm 30 and I'm covered in tattoos.
And is it like, you say they got some meaning for you? So is it just a way to express yourself, or like what? Like what's what is?
What's your most meaningful tattoo?
My most meaningful tattoo?
Yeah, like if you had like one thing like this was like I got this because my grandpa.
I mean, I got this like this done up here when my grandma passed away. This was like a timeless like clock and stuff like that. That was like a meaningful one. And then I got a compass one to like because I've been around the world. And then yeah, it kind of like trickled down from there. The gears and stuff were like from bikes. The angel wing was just like a protection thing. I don't know.
Yeah, Oh, it's cool. I mean, I think everybody's got a different reason for a tattoo. Some people just get koi fish because like the way they look. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I like my number, the year I was born. I don't know, some other quotes and sayings and stuff like that. But yeah, I always like just come up with my own tattoos though, because I'm not like the type of person that likes to go and look on the internet and be like, oh yeah, I need that full sleeve of the same guy. You know what he has and stuff. So I have all different tattoos.
Are you?
I have my daughter's birthday like on the back of my ear and stuff like that.
Are you like Nija, like gonna just fully every piece of your body, or do you like have a time of you're gonna? Sorry, I mean, like, are you gonna just continue going until you run out of room, or are you like one of those guys that's like, hey, like, is there a stop, or it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I was gonna get my face tattooed next.
Dude, you should.
Would you be okay with that?
Got some teardrops.
What if I got your number under my eye?
I love it.
You would.
You should get a 99 right here.
Right under my eye.
Do it.
No, that would hurt like hell, and then no, I would not do that.
Did you see the guy that got his eyeballs tattooed?
No, eyeballs?
Yeah, on the outside, he tattooed them black. I'm not even lying.
It's
Yeah,
really
black. So
his
it
whole
just
body.
it looks
Scary.
Yeah, just like the pupil and then everything was black. And he was like, "Yeah, you can do it." I don't know. I think it's crazy.
kind of weird though. Like the time though that we're going through now. Like I feel like everybody has tattoos.
Oh,
and then if you want to work somewhere, they don't care what tattoos you have. And then everyone's got neck, face tattoos, everything.
Bro, he's got a neck tattoo.
Who does? Yeah. So do I though.
Yeah, I know.
Where's yours?
I don't got one yet.
Why?
Dude, he's just got the.
Dude, I just got the mean.
Oh, your first one hurt and then you got scared.
It didn't hurt. No, it didn't hurt.
It didn't hurt.
No.
What do you say? Your daughter, 16 comes in and she's like, "Dad, I want a tattoo." What are you saying?
Do it.
At 16?
Yeah.
Yeah, as we got your first one.
What wasn't the age 18, right?
Yeah, but
Well,
you said
said
16.
you had 16.
I was underage though.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what I'm saying. What do you say to your daughter?
Listen, I'm just trying to be legal here.
Oh.
Legal matter.
Okay.
18, you know?
All right,
It's
so
the
your
legal
daughter's
age of
18.
tattoos.
If she's 18, she comes in, she's like, "I'm getting a tattoo."
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
Where are you getting the tattoo?
Uh,
Well, you're going to ask some questions.
Yeah,
and stuff, you know?
I would hope so.
Yeah, for sure.
getting dad right here.
Dad.
Right on her heart, yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea. I'd persuade her not to do that.
All right.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're 2 hours in, so
2 hours.
Did you think it went this fast, or was it? Were you like? Did it go like?
Yeah, I feel like we've been here for like a half hour.
Yeah.
I was just warming up. Like, we're warming up here.
it's getting warm in here. It's
Yeah,
up
it
to
is. It's
80
getting
degrees.
toasty. All right, you got to give it to him.
Yeah.
He's not ready.
Have you watched any of our podcasts all the way to the end? Probably not. They're
You
Not
can't-
all the way to
you
the
can't
end.
lie.
right now.
So you don't
I'm
know
not
what's
lying.
coming right now.
So you have no idea.
What's coming?
No, this is it.
I don't even know what it is.
know what it is?
All right, yeah. So you're on death row. We don't know why.
You did some shit. You didn't call Law Tigers because they would have got you out of it.
1,000% they would have got out of you, but you're dead. So you're on death row. What is your death row meal? Dinner. Or what is your death row meal with a drink?
Death row meal with a drink.
Yeah, this is it. Your last meal you're ever going to get.
Can it be like
Anything you want.
Anything, dude.
It has to be something, or can you say like what, like Italian food, or
No,
Oh,
it's got to be.
something.
It's got to be.
Like,
it has to be something.
Like a
I
lasagna.
want Ruby Tuesdays.
Yeah, and like you could like your mom's lasagna or your grandma's or whatever. It doesn't have to be
can it be liquid only?
If that's what you're into.
whatever, dude. It's your death row.
I'll go with a Mai Tai.
You're just gonna
One
Mai Tai
Mai Tai?
yourself to death.
Just one Mai Tai, or you could just bottomless Mai Tais.
I mean, is it a open bar tab?
Yeah,
Dude, it's death row.
it's death row, dude.
There it is.
So no food.
Nope.
Just Mai Tais. We haven't got that one before.
No, I don't think I've ever had a Mai Tai. What about dessert? Would you?
Have you not had a Mai Tai?
I don't think so. Would you have dessert or no?
No.
Mai Tai.
Dude, if I have enough Mai Tais, I wouldn't even think about dessert.
All right, dude.
All right.
Wow, that's a good one.
It is.
Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it, and yeah, it's gonna be a good weekend. I'm excited to see how this one goes.
Thank you guys for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. It's been awesome. It's been really good. So, everybody, check it out. Buy some merch.
Yeah,
You got any merch coming? You have merch
Any
out there?
merch coming? No.
clothing, shirts, t-shirts, nothing. All right, we should get with Defile Odds. We got a lot of merch coming out. We got James the Rocket Rispoli, Hog Spoli. Got Garrett Gerloff merch out front.
We have a PJ 99 out there.
Yeah.
Just a Mai Tai on the front.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, seriously, thanks, man, dude. It was awesome listening to your story and where you've been around the world, and hopefully everybody enjoys it as much as we did. Have a good weekend, and let's go.
Let's go.
Sweet. Thank you, guys.
No worries.